Welcome to the Miracle You, guiding you on the journey towards finding passion and purpose and how to discover, create, and live a life by your design. Whether your success has been plentiful or your missed opportunities have been overwhelming, we can help you become a more empowered, masterful person and show you how to share your gift with the world. It's time to inspire change from within with the host of the Miracle You, Vince Kramer.
Hello, imagination. I'm Vince Kramer, your host, and welcome to the Miracle You, where you learn about the magic of living your life by finding the example in real life. One of the most important things for us in our lives is to find passion, to really be ignited from the inside, to do those things and share those things that really bring us joy. Today's guest is really discovering that he has two big passions in his life, and he wants to bring those passions together in a way that he can live life from this point on, giving of himself in the two ways that really bring joy to him. One of the interesting diagrams that I really like to use in our training programs is the diagram of the four circles where they all intersect in the middle. So you've got a circle at the top, a circle at the bottom, a circle left, and a circle at the right, and they're all intersecting themselves. Where the four circles intersect in the middle is really your purpose. It represents your purpose. So the four circles are, what do you enjoy doing? What are you good at? What does the world need? And how can I bring abundance into my life because of these other three circles? If those all come together in a way that's supportive of you, the center is your purpose. The interesting thing is where the circle, what am I good at, or I am good at, and what do I enjoy doing, where they come together, that's really your passions. And like I said, today's guest is going to talk about how his passion for running and his passion for giving back to worthy causes have come together, and he is developing the process and the ways of bringing the other two circles in. The world definitely needs us to take care of each other and take care of the important projects out there that are really going to make a difference in the world, as well as can he find a way to bring abundance into his life by sharing that passion. So I challenge you to find those four areas. What are you good at? What do you enjoy doing? What does the world need? And how can I bring abundance in my life by doing them all together so you can start living your purpose? We each have a unique purpose, and it's really our birthright to live that purpose. But more importantly, the world needs us to live it. Good morning, imagination. Today I'm with Joe Turcotte, and for over 30 years, Joe worked fun jobs: personal trainer, fitness director, triathlon coach, and photographer. All these jobs required a high level of public interaction, including meeting and assisting people in realizing their full potential. However, none of them brought and provided financial security for Joe. There's a lot of things that Joe's accomplished over his life, and I just want to share a few of them. Triathlete of the Year for the Pikes Peak Triathlon Club in 2006, 2009. Denver News Channel 7 KMGH Everyday Hero Award in 2006. He's completed over 100 multi-sport cycling and running events, including 11 Ironmans, the Ironman Hawaii, several Pikes Peak marathons, and most recently qualified for the Boston Marathon at the Denver Revel Canyon City Marathon. He's qualified and finished the Ironman 70.3 World Championships in 2013. An amazing physical specimen and athlete. As his hearing deteriorated, he became more reclusive and less able to communicate with others. Approaching 60, he secured the perfect job: good pay and benefits, choose your own hours, work from home, alone. It was a classic example of be careful what you wish for. Speaking of alone, Joe, you spent quite a bit of time alone this summer. Joe recently completed 6 million steps of gratitude, a self-supported run across America from Boston to Oceanside, California. He raised $30,000 for Canine Companions for Independence and Achilles International Pikes Peak chapter. Joe, are you ready to share the miracle of you with the imagination?
Yes, absolutely.
It's so good to have you here today. The interesting thing is, Joe and I come in contact with each other through my wife, Mary. Joe stayed at our retreat center down in Southwest Colorado when he was on his 6 million steps of gratitude. Joe, you're a little bit different, as I shared before we started the recording, than the most of my guests. And I really would love to start out with, tell me a little bit about 6 million steps.
Well, what it was, you kind of mentioned it in the introduction about be careful what you wish for. I think I spent the last several decades defining success the same way most of America defines success, searching for the perfect job, the perfect career, generate wealth, comfortable retirement, bank account, home. None of those pursuits did it for me. Every time I got a few bucks in the bank, it'd be, oh God, I've got this much money. I quit my job. I'd buy a Harley and ride across country, or I'd buy tickets and go to France, or I could never stay at the same job. The result of that attitude was I'm kind of a loser. I can't, I'm approaching 60. I have nothing in the bank. And finally, I just through teachings at the Centers for Spiritual Living, certain books I read, I finally accepted the fact that for me personally, success could not be defined by what I owned or how much I had. If that were the case, I would have kept that personal attitude that I was unsuccessful and unhappy. But I didn't feel that I was either. So I started looking around me at my home, at my girlfriend, at my dog, at my circle of friends. And when I took all that into account, I realized if that was the definition of success, then I was successful beyond my wildest dreams. And in the past, as you mentioned, I had done fundraisers. I was trying to think what things in my life brought me the most happiness. And the number one thing was my Iron Puppy Project, where I raised $30,000 for Canine Companions in 2006. So it occurred to me that in my heart, I'm a billionaire philanthropist. In my wallet, I don't have $1 billion. What I do have is the ability to run. And I thought, well, if I'm going to fulfill my passion of being a philanthropist, but I lack the ability to hold a job for any significant length of time, I'm going to have to pair my passion for running with my passion for philanthropy. And that's how 6 Million Steps of Gratitude was born. I thought, okay, I can see America on foot, something that I've dreamed of for years, while raising money for 2 organizations that I'm passionate about.
Oh, thank you for sharing that. And for a while there, I was ready to just jump in and say, I don't think Joe Turcotte's a loser. But you kind of went a little bit further and cleaned that up for me. So thank you. I was in the panic mode here on Joe. Joe, you're definitely not a loser. So what would you say, Joe? One of the most important things that I think you said in the last couple minutes was you were able to bring your passion for the puppies, your passion for the Achilles Foundation, and your passion for running together. And I think that is so important because what we share in Imagine Miracles is that everything that's happened in your life up to now is bringing you to where you're supposed to be in this moment. And if we can find those gifts in all of that and bring those gifts together, that's when we're most powerfully living our life, when we're most powerfully sharing ourselves with the world. What would you say your mission is? What would you say your divine intent is?
It's interesting. Once I decided that I'm sticking with a income generating career, I just wasn't wired for that. It's just not something I cared about. I also think that made me, I don't know, I don't think it's that uncommon that a lot of people suffer from what could be defined as middle-age depression. And I'm sitting at my computer, I'm making money, I have benefits, but it was sucking the life out of me. But every couple days, I would get newsletters from Canine Companions for Independence, or I'd volunteer with my Achilles team. And here I'd be running beside a guy who was one of the happiest guys I knew, blind his whole life, or running with kids who are autistic, who are incredibly happy. Or I'd look at the newsletters from CCI, the videos of people that were receiving these incredible service dogs. And it all led to the fact that I was grateful. I had no reason to be depressed. I had every reason to be grateful for where I was in my life. That's where the name 6 Million Steps of Gratitude came from, was I needed a way to squash my depression, and gratitude is what did that for me, by realizing that the people I work with and the people I admire with disabilities have a lot more challenges to overcome than me sitting at a computer being unhappy.
Mm-hmm. And really, it wasn't squashing anything. The interesting thing about gratitude is it is such a high vibration. One thing you don't know about me is I'm really into quantum physics and the understanding of energy and vibration, and gratitude, appreciation, love, joy, some of the highest emotional vibrations that we can have. So it really didn't even squash for you. What it did was it raised the vibration of who you are and what you were experiencing in your life. And like you said, gratitude is just so powerful. What you've described is really a wake-up call. It's kind of what we call conscious wake-ups. And once again, you don't know my story very well, but I had that same conscious wake-up that I ignored. So you paid attention to it. You're way ahead of me in the strides of life here, because I knew that there had to be something more to life. No matter how successful I was in the military, in my flying career, being at a director level job in a Fortune 100 company, life was really, really good, but I knew that there was something missing, and I didn't pay attention to that calling, really, or that, like I said, the wake up. I had to have a very firm slap upside my head that really finally got my attention. Tell me, we're talking about conscious wake up calls, and I do know that early in your life you had a pretty big one. Could you tell us about that?
Yeah, it took me a couple decades to act on it to the extent I did, but back in 1983, let's just say my life path kind of led to either death or incarceration before age 30. That's what my life revolves around. Everything was about booze and drugs. That's what I live for. I'd go to work and then just plan to get high or drunk at the end of the day. That was it. I knew it was wrong. I didn't even particularly enjoy it. It's just what I did. I kind of resigned myself to the fact that that's my future. And then my friend Tom, he was a childhood friend. When I moved to Colorado, he became my employer, and on several occasions we found ourselves roommates. And in October of 1983, he went up into the attic of his home and shot himself and killed himself. And that was my slap in the head, that it sank in that I have an obsessive compulsive personality, and unfortunately I channeled those obsessions and compulsions towards drugs. I decided at that point I need to channel them. I can't get rid of them. It's how I'm wired. So I need to channel them into another direction. And for me, that was the Pikes Peak Marathon. In those days, I had weighed up to 260 pounds. and I never ran a step in my life. But I always had a passion for the outdoors. And when I moved to Colorado, I actually lived in a tent on Pikes Peak for a few weeks. And I saw these guys training for the marathon. I thought they were nuts. But then on the other hand, seeing my roommate being put in a coroner's van made me realize, well, maybe I'm the one that's nuts. And so I decided in October of '83 that I was going to run the Pikes Peak Marathon. I went to the running store. I bought a pair of shoes, was appalled that I was spending $19 for a pair of running shoes. And I thought, this is it. I've got 10 months to run the Pikes Peak Marathon. And so for 10 months, I started running. The drugs didn't disappear immediately, but they did within a couple of months. All my obsessions were channeled to that Pikes Peak Marathon in August of '84. Well, what happened was that was my first race. I ran the Pikes Peak Marathon. I just figured I'd start at the most difficult race I could find. And in 1984, I ran it. And not only was it an incredible experience, the race itself, but I lost almost 95 pounds. It led me to enroll in college, something I never dreamed I would do. As an exercise science major, all of a sudden my passion for drugs became a passion for running and fitness. The main thing it did, it convinced me, or it showed me that I have the discipline and drive to accomplish something no one believed I would ever accomplish. I mean, I was an overweight, pot-smoking drunk. That's how I defined myself. And all of a sudden, I just ran one of the most difficult marathons in the world. So not only was, I guess it was an ego booster, but it was a self-confidence booster that I have the ability to discipline myself to accomplish things like that. And that was it. In hindsight, the most traumatic event in my life turned into that miracle slap in the face. And oddly enough, I'm grateful for my friend Tom's suicide. I mean, sure, I'd like to take it back, but that altered the direction of my life forever.
Some people would say that you had a divine contract with him in helping you take the step that was necessary for you, and maybe that was part of his divine intent in life to help you do that. You also mentioned a couple other little wake-up calls that even affected you later, but I think one of them I read in the bio that I'd like you to share with us a little bit. How did losing your hearing or losing much of your hearing affect you?
Yeah, well, that was another. When I decided that I was going to do the 6 million steps of gratitude, my two primary goals were to raise funds for Canine Companions for Independence and my Achilles Pikes Peak team, because they're the ones that helped me realize that I had everything to be grateful for and really nothing to be depressed over. Then I had a couple of personal reasons for doing it, and one of them was the deafness. Over the course of the last 15 years, my hearing deteriorated. And that was one of the reasons I got out of the health club business. I stopped going to parties. I'd avoid going to dinner with people. I got tired of pretending I was involved in a conversation I didn't hear. So as my hearing got worse, my reclusiveness got worse. And I just found myself staying at home, not going out. I still ran, but I ran alone, even though I have lots of friends to run with. So what I decided upon embarking on 6 million steps of gratitude was I was going to force myself to communicate with strangers. I was going to be the only guy in America who would not be afraid to ask for directions. And the other personal thing was to put myself in uncomfortable and challenging situations. I've never been in the military. I have lots of friends who have been. And I don't necessarily think it's guilt, but I always wondered how I would respond in challenging situations where it isn't like you can just call a friend to pick you up. I mean, and boy, I got it. 28 of my first 45 days across Pennsylvania with torrential downpours, thunderstorms, just being wet, miserable, and uncomfortable for days on end. I like to think I stepped up to the challenge. I mean, not once while I was ironically hiding in car washes to get out of rainstorms, did I think I shouldn't be out here? I shouldn't be doing it. Every time adversity showed itself, I thought of the people I was raising money for. And I realized I had chosen to put myself in that situation. Yeah, maybe I could call Uber and go home, but it never entered my mind once. So those two things, overcoming my hearing disability and forcing myself to communicate and putting myself in the most challenging situations I could think of, I like to think I performed adequately, if not admirably, because it changed my whole personality as far as being more outgoing, regardless of the fact that I can't hear that well.
Thing that I want to bring up, and I'd love for you to tell us a little bit more about, in the challenge to force yourself to communicate, definitely put yourself in a physical situation that most people cannot do. They could if they believed in themselves, and you had to believe in yourself to run all the way across the country, especially for two amazing groups that really can use the money and really make a difference in the world. It's changed your life. I know it's changed your life, and share with us where you're going to go from here now that you've met that challenge. You're really stepping out into the world. Communication is going to be a bigger and better thing in your life. I already know about the talk that you're going to do very soon. Share a little bit about where you're going to go from here.
Boy, I wish I had the perfect answer for that. As of now, I'm a deaf, unemployed 60-year-old, every HR department's dream candidate. But yeah, I do have to generate income, not generate wealth. I need an income. Fortunately, I'm in a position where it isn't that crucial, but I've got to work on a book. For decades, people have been telling me I should write a memoir just because of my background that I discussed earlier, how suicide led to this or that. That was never a good enough book topic for me. I needed kind of a wow factor for the final chapters. So I kind of figured the Run Across America added that. So writing is another passion of mine. So I'll definitely be working on a book. Speaking. What I find is on the maybe 10 or so occasions I've spoken to people, I've had them come up to me, and I still have that lack of self-confidence in the back of my mind. There's no reason for me to lack self-confidence. I mean, I look at my resume of the crazy things I've done, and I'm like, yeah, you got to be kind of confident to accomplish those things. So, yeah, I've got to I'll go back to a fun job that will generate enough income to fund financing, sitting in a coffee shop and writing a book. I'd like to do speaking engagements specifically to people who don't believe they have the ability to accomplish amazing things. I mean, I don't care who you are. If you have true desire, those two words outweigh lack of education, physical condition. I've heard every excuse in the book as to why I can't run a marathon or why I can't run a 5K. If you desire those finish lines, it's accomplishable to anyone, absolutely anyone. And what I've found over the years is I kind of have the ability to help people realize that they don't have to wait to accomplish smaller goals. They can sign right up for their ultimate goal. And yeah, you need to accomplish smaller goals to get there. But I think I have the ability to inspire people to say, hey, you know what? Maybe I can do this. I truly believe people already possess within them the ability to accomplish anything they want. For me, that's endurance sports. But I mean, it can be someone who wants to be a doctor or a lawyer or generate enough income for a health. I think everyone already has within them the ability to accomplish their dreams. It's just a matter of what it's going to take to get them to take those first few steps. So yeah, that's the future. Writing a book, hopefully speaking engagements, and make just enough money to accomplish those two things.
You know, one of the things that I really want to share with the imagination, and I want to share with you, Joe, is that your life is really just beginning when it comes to your purpose and passion right now. You've opened the door through a conscious wake up, really, that wasn't something that was bad. And that's one of the things that I really want to share with everyone. A wake up doesn't have to be a bad thing. It doesn't have to be a crisis wake up like cancer or a death in the family or being dismembered or something that terrible, or even a conscious wake up that's realizing that there's got to be more to life. Sometimes a wake up can be something so very positive in your life, and the work that you're doing and the way that you stepped out to walk and run and hide in car washes all the way across America really has opened the door for you to bring your experiences of the past out to the world. And people do need to hear about what it was like to pick yourself up from being a pot smoking, beer drinking, alcohol drinking person who realized through a death of a friend, a loved one, that life had to be different. And then what did you do? Like everyone else of us, you stepped into the rules. And the rules were, you know, you need to be successful. You need to work at this job. You need to have a 9 to 5. You had to be here. You had to do this. And that wasn't Joe Turcotte. Excuse me. Joe Turcotte was somebody completely different than that. And in finding yourself, now you're ready to step out and be that example. And I believe so much in collective energy and the power of it. So we're going to ask the imagination to come together and hold that dream for you, to send you the energy to help you write that book, to step out on the speaking stage and share who you are with the world, so other people can start to find themselves. And that's what the Miracle You is all about. And we appreciate that you're sharing your story in the way that you are, because that's the story that I want to bring to the world. That's the story I want people to hear, because we all can and should and will live our purpose before we leave this planet. And we need examples to help us do that. So thank you. And we're sending some big energy your way to make that happen.
Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. Since meeting Mary down at the Sophia retreat, I immediately went to your website, and it was a breath of fresh air. It's like, okay, you know, this guy's teaching what I kind of believed in my heart. I almost thought it was common sense, but people thought it was too Pollyanna-ish, I think. And it isn't. It's like, okay, there are people out here who believe like I do. And so I immersed myself in the Miracle You and the Imagination website, and I'm thinking, okay, there are people out here who have the same desires that I do, that don't revolve around their bank statement. And I really appreciate it. And I appreciate you asking me to be on, and I appreciate you, and I appreciate Mary.
Oh, well, thank you very much. And one of the things that I really want to share is, as you start living your purpose and as you start living with passion, everything that you need is going to show up. When you start serving others, that's when you really get to a place where you're serving yourself. And when you bring yourself into a community that supports you and your unique purpose, now all those riches are going to come to you. Everything that you need is going to be there. There's not going to be any want, because everybody's working together to bring their purpose to life. And that doesn't mean that you can't have the big house or the big car or whatever else out there that you want, but it's because you experience joy in it, not because you believe that it's going to bring you joy. And that's the important thing. We look so much on the outside for things to bring us happiness, to bring us joy, to really get us to that place where we think we want to be. but you're finding the place that you're supposed to be. And that's where the real joy comes from. And gratitude will get us there. And thanks for being the example of that.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Could you share the best advice you were ever given?
Yeah, I kind of touched on it earlier. It was, well, a combination of different books and just my friend Reverend Norm Bouchard, when I told him I was going to run across America. And it was, I've only known him a couple years, but there was no doubt in his mind. He didn't roll his eyes or anything. He knew that I already had within me the ability to do that. So I think you already possess within you the ability to accomplish your dreams. And that's what Reverend Norm told me. That's what I've read in the past. That's kind of what I believed in my heart. I've proved it to myself, and I see no other reason why other people can't prove it to themselves, that you already you possess within you the ability to accomplish whatever you set your mind to.
Awesome. I know Reverend Norm's a big Jack Canfield fan, and I've spent a lot of time with Jack. I actually wrote a best-selling book with Jack called Mastering the Art of Success. And what Jack says is, you wouldn't have a dream unless you could accomplish it. And that's a very powerful statement.
That's a good one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Could you share a piece of guidance with us to, just a way to help the people that are listening to the podcast today maybe take that next step?
Yeah, for me, and it's what I discovered when my roommate killed himself, is a goal. Everything in my life revolves around goals. I look at my family history, and I'm kind of hardwired to lay on the couch and watch TV, unless I have a goal. The first goal I ever set in my life was that Pikes Peak Marathon. Even now, after finishing my run across America, I'm searching websites for a marathon to do in the spring. I've got to have something to shoot for. I want to speak. So my goal is to start attending Toastmasters meetings. All the way across the country, yeah, I had a goal of hitting the Pacific Ocean. And that's the things with goals. Yes, you want a lofty, huge goal, but you need tiny little goals to get you there. So there were days when I was miserable. It was hot or it was raining, and I couldn't fathom not only the Pacific Ocean 2,000 miles away, I couldn't fathom the campsite or the hotel 10 miles away. So I would set a goal. Okay, there's a tree. Okay, that's my next goal. I'd go to the tree. It would take 5 minutes. And I had to do little baby step goals because sometimes the lofty goal you originally set for yourself, it's too unachievable at the time, but with steps, measurable, provable steps will get you to your lofty goal. And today I haven't run since I hit the Pacific Ocean. Today I have a goal of going to the track and running 5 miles and getting my butt back out there. Set a goal. And I don't care what it is. For me, it's running. For someone else, it can be a job. Or it can be income. There's nothing wrong with setting income goals. For me, it just happens to be running. So that's the advice. Have a goal.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Joe, for sharing with us today. How can people get a hold of you? I know they're going to want to know a little bit more about what you're doing, where you're going, looking for that speaking engagement that you're going to be doing in the near future and the ones yet to come. How can people get a hold of you?
The best way to do that is through Facebook. I had bought a website domain and had all these grand plans, and Facebook just makes it too easy. So either friending me or messaging me, Joe Turcotte on Facebook, or looking at my Facebook page, 6 Million Steps of Gratitude. That page isn't going to be ending anytime soon. Yes, the 6 million steps has ended, but that page, I think, will live on. So liking and following 6 Million Steps of Gratitude, or friending me on Facebook, and then message me. And that's without question the best way to contact me.
And everybody, you'll be able to find that information on Joe's show page. I think if you go to imaginemiracles.com/MU012-Joe-Turcotte, you're going to find all that information on the show page. So please visit the Miracle You website. You'll find that information on Joe. Joe, it was so great to have you here today. You're a motivator for me. There's things coming for Imagine Miracles. We're getting ready to launch a web-based membership site so we can bring more information to people. We can help bring community together so people like you can share your story with others, be the example so others can start living their purpose, living with passion, taking their 6 million steps to whatever their purpose in life is. On behalf of Mary and myself, we want to thank you for being here, and we hope you have a miracle day.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. This has been really fun.
You've completed this episode of The Miracle You, but we have plenty more to help you discover your own personal passion and purpose. Head over to themiracleyou.com for free resources to assist you on your journey, as well as register for our free webinar, Discover Your Miracle Life, 3 Mind Awakening Steps Toward Your Unique Purpose, or apply for a one-on-one Your Life, Your Way breakthrough session and discover your next best step on your journey. All available exclusively on our website. That's themiracleyou.com. We look forward to sharing more experiences of passion, purpose, and life by design next time, right here on The Miracle You.